The 2025 Weibo TV and Internet Video Summit was meant to be a celebration, a showcase of talent, glamour, and the brightest stars of a generation. But among the flashing lights, polished speeches, and endless applause, there was a story the cameras almost missed. A story that no fan account fully captured, yet every heart seemed to feel. It began the moment Dylan Wang entered the Grand Hall. He moved with his usual quiet confidence, the kind of presence that could dominate a room without uttering a word. But that night something was different. Something subtle, almost imperceptible, yet impossible to ignore for those who had followed his story with Shen Yue. Across the room, Shen Yue appeared like a vision of serenity. Her silver gown shimmered under the chandelier lights, but her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. There was a tension there, a memory that refused to stay buried, a history that had followed her into every stage, every spotlight, every camera frame. The first few minutes were a blur of red carpets, greetings, and rehearsed cheer. The crowd cheered for every star as their names were announced. Fans held their phones high, capturing every angle, every twinkle of light, every laugh, every nod. And yet, all anyone really noticed was the moment Dylan Wang looked across the room. It was almost instinctual, a glance that lasted less than a heartbeat. But it spoke volumes. It was the kind of look you only give someone who once held your heart. And the spark, it was still there. Shen Yue's eyes caught his, for just a second. She smiled politely for the cameras. But beneath that graceful exterior, her heart skipped a beat. Fans watching the live stream immediately noticed the chemistry. The comments exploded in real time. She sees him. Look at Dylan smiling at her. The spark is still alive, no matter what anyone says. Yet, to the casual observer, it was nothing more than a polite acknowledgement. Two celebrities, exchanging a glance across a crowded hall. But for those who had followed their journey, it was everything. The night carried on. Dylan moved through the crowd, shaking hands, exchanging pleasantries. But every now and then, his eyes drifted back to where Shen Yue was standing. Not intentionally. He wasn't trying to make a scene. It wasn't a performance. It was instinct. Shen Yue, meanwhile, had noticed his subtle attention. She didn't act on it. She didn't give him a chance to misread her presence. Instead, she kept her composure, smiled when necessary, but allowed herself a quiet, private acknowledgement of the feelings that had never really left. It was a delicate dance, one that fans would later describe as heartbreakingly poetic. Because in that room filled with cameras and noise, their emotions were unspoken yet undeniable. As the evening progressed, the awards continued. A montage played on the screen featuring some of the year's biggest hits. And when Dylan's name came up for a Lifetime Achievement acknowledgement, he stepped forward, thanked the team, and looked around briefly. His gaze landed on Shen Yue again. The sparkle of recognition in his eyes was undeniable. It wasn't just admiration for her as a colleague. It wasn't casual friendliness. It was the memory of shared laughter, shared silences, and the quiet moments that no one else would ever witness. For those watching closely, it was the kind of look that tells a story of love, of loss, of years lived apart but never truly separated. Backstage, the atmosphere was different. Away from cameras and fans, Dylan and Shen Yue were finally in the same space without anyone watching. Yet, neither moved closer. Neither spoke. It was almost as if the weight of their past restrained them. The spark was there, yes, but it wasn't ready to ignite into something public. It was private, precious. A few staff members whispered about what they saw, how Dylan had lingered near the side corridor where Shen Yue was standing, his expression softening whenever she moved, how her fingers trembled slightly as she adjusted her gown, and how, for a fleeting moment, they both allowed themselves a look that belonged entirely to them. No one captured it. No one recorded it. But those who saw it said the emotion was tangible, almost like you could reach out and feel it in the air. After the ceremony, the stars moved toward the exit. Shen Yue walked elegantly, her steps measured, deliberate. Dylan followed shortly after, but at a distance, careful, hesitant. Fans noticed the same thing they had all night. Everywhere Dylan looked, Shen Yue was there. Even from afar, his eyes seemed magnetized toward her. The spark hadn't died. It was quiet, smoldering, impossible to ignore. And then came the briefest, most intimate moment. As Shen Yue reached the car, Dylan stepped closer, not too close, just enough to let her know he had been there, that he had watched over her in the way someone who truly cares does. She looked at him once. It was a glance that carried years of memories. Pain, joy, longing, and love, all wrapped into a fraction of a second. No words were exchanged. No dramatic gestures. Just a silent acknowledgement that the spark was still alive. Fans dissected every angle of the event. Clips were slowed, screenshots captured, reactions analyzed. And though some speculated about romantic reconciliation, others recognized something more profound. The spark wasn't about rekindling a romance. It was about connection, a reminder that some bonds transcend time and distance, and that even in the busiest, noisiest rooms, our hearts know exactly where they belong. In the days following the summit, social media exploded. Hashtags trended, fan theories flourished, and every subtle interaction became a headline. Did Dylan Wang just look at Shen Yue with love? The spark is real, it's undeniable. Why isn't anyone talking about what we all saw? Yet, neither Dylan nor Shen Yue addressed it. There were no clarifications, no statements, no public acknowledgement. Because some emotions, no matter how powerful, are meant to be private. Some sparks are meant to remain in the shadows, burning quietly in the corners of hearts that only they can feel. Weeks later, snippets of behind-the-scenes footage surfaced. A clip captured Dylan laughing quietly at a joke Shen Yue made, her eyes twinkling, her hand brushing her hair back. It was natural, unpolished, and intimate. Fans erupted once again. The spark is still there, they cried. Shen Yue later shared a picture from the event on her personal account. A soft focus photo of the stage lights reflecting on the polished floor. No people were in the frame, yet fans read between the lines. The glow reminded them of that fleeting moment, the connection no one had witnessed directly. Months passed, and both Dylan and Shen Yue continued their careers. Projects, interviews, awards. Life moved forward. Yet, whenever Dylan posted, or whenever Shen Yue shared something nostalgic, fans noticed subtle references, subtle glances, subtle reminders. A song lyric here, a photograph there. Small things that only someone who understood their story would notice. The spark remained, alive in the quiet spaces, unseen but deeply felt. Love in the world of fame is never simple. It is scrutinized, dissected, and often judged